Well, we're glad you could all join us. I'm Frank Walsh. I'm the Township Manager. Going to kick this thing off on such a glorious day here in Meridian Township. I'm going to introduce, before we get into the public officials today, I'm going to introduce somebody who's responsible for the architect of putting this all together, the person who managed the project, our Deputy Manager, Derek Perry. Derek?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Manager Walsh. Appreciate the good weather you brought with us this time, too. Good things come to those that wait, I guess would be the best way to describe this project. You can't hear me? Can you hear me now? All right, we'll swallow the microphone. Good things come to those that wait would be the best way to describe this project, I think. I want to thank the Township Board for challenging the Department of Public Works to put this project together. We hope it met your expectations. And it is a privilege to also, besides being the Deputy Township Manager, but also the Director of Public Works and Engineering. And I'm very proud of the engineering team that designed and oversaw the Boardwalk construction. Giannis, Niall, David, and Tom, Jay, I think you're here. I'm sure you are. You should be very proud of your work. Again, I'm very proud of you for what you've done. How complex was this project? It's about a quarter mile long, has an average height of 10 feet. It has 150 of those 10-foot diameter pilings, or basically poles. All of those had to be individually driven by the contractor. They range in 25 to 50 feet in length. So basically you can have 40 feet of those buried in the ground, especially towards the drain. There's 900 joists, 1,600 deck planks, and we used over 650 bolts, nuts, and washers on this project. It required a very amount of extensive permitting. Our own Community Development Department, the Environmental, Great Lakes and Energy, Ingham County Drain Office, and we appreciate all their partnerships and assistance with this. And again, I want to thank the Department of Public Works and the Parks team. In the future, they're going to be the stewards of this project, and just a shout out to them for maintaining our assets in the community. Our residents are proud of them, and again, I'm proud of them too for that. And I want to thank the contractor, Eastern Michigan Contracting. He's here. I appreciate all your work putting this together. Again, no easy project. And then also all of our partners at Ingham County. Appreciate that, everything they've done. Without them, the project still would be on the drawing board. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Derek, and thank you to our team that helped put this all together. Our next speakers are a very able supervisor, Ron Styka. Now, you may think this project took a long time, and Ron told me, I'm not going to run for re-election if you don't get this bridge fixed. Well, that caused a lot of delays, the project. So, with that, our supervisor, Ron Styka.
Manager says, Walsh says able, and I come up here with a cane, you know. Oh well. Over the last half a year or so, I've had a lot of friends ask me about this project. They called it everything from the bridge too far, the bridge on the River Kwai. They just had all kinds of names for it. They all wondered what it was and what was going to happen. Well, this is a great day, a wonderful day, and I look forward to all of you walking across this with me hobbling behind in a little while. The mission statement of our township says that it provides a welcome, safe, sustainable prime community. And that's what this bridge helps do right here in the township. The Okemos Boardwalk completes the final remaining gap in the pathway system along the east side of Okemos Road, which now connects the pathway all the way from Jolly Road all the way up to Lake Lansing Road, about 5 miles, just short of the 6-mile distance of our township, and literally connects Okemos and Hazlitt, the northern and southern portions of our township, which is a great thing. As early as the 50s, Meridian Township talked about connecting its citizens through pathways. None of us was on the board then, but we like to think so sometimes, right? And the original millage was passed in 1974. And I don't think any of us were on the board then either. It was renewed in 84, 94, 2004, and lately in 2016. This pedestrian pathway has been on our master plan since the 1980s. It's been a long time coming, a long time being produced. As our able deputy manager talked about, we have a lot of environmental and construction difficulties with this. The narrow right-of-way and the drain crossing did not allow for a standard Meridian pathway, which we see all over the township, and the high cost of the boardwalk kept delaying its construction. It's a $1.3 million project. It's a lot of money. $975,000, almost $1 million of that, came from the county, from the Ingham County Parks and Trail millage, and for that we are extremely grateful. The remaining $325,000 was funded by our township residents through the voter-approved pathway millage. As I said, we owe a big thank you to the county for their generous support and through their efforts in the county Parks and Trailways millage program. Without their substantial grant, the boardwalk would still be on the drawing board as it was for so many years, and not providing three things: a welcoming and safe, sustainable addition to our community. It's welcoming and safe, obviously. Bikers and walkers will now have a safe way of getting from the northern portion of Okemos Road. And it's environmentally sustainable. This was built not through a wetland, doesn't destroy the wetland, it was built over the wetland so it can continue on and be a benefit to all of us. So with that, the prime community of Meridian is pleased to have this new addition. Thank you.
Before we call up our next speaker, I want to introduce the other board members that are here today, which I think is almost all. Our treasurer, Phil DeShane, our clerk, Brett Dreyfus, trustees, Pat Jackson, Dan Opsimer, and Courtney Wazinski. So thank you to the board for supporting this project. And one other person I want to introduce, because this is one of her last public events, someone who's done so much for this township when it comes to communications, events, and all of this, putting this all together. It's all led by someone who's leaving us for, I hope, greener pastures. But thank you to Deborah Guthrie. Deborah has just been outstanding for this township. Thank you, Deborah. With that, I want to introduce someone who doesn't really need an introduction. 18 years on the township board, and now in her first year as our state representative, Julie Brixey.
Thank you, Frank, and thank you everybody for coming out here. Of course, this is so exciting. I don't see Lenny Provencher. Is Lenny here today? Is Lenny here? Lenny's not here. So the 18 years I was on the board, any of you who live along here or drive down Okemos Road know that it floods. It's shut down almost every year, not quite every year, but most years it's shut down once, sometimes twice for a couple days when it floods. And Lenny Provencher would come to our board meetings and share his opinion that he thought that needed to be fixed. And while that hasn't been fixed, at least we're going to be able to ride the bikes this way. And I know that as an avid cyclist, that's something that's really going to make Lenny care and be excited to be able to use this. The interurban pathway, when that went in, boy, that was on the books for, I think, 16 years before it got built. And I went over there the first year that it was paved. I went out there in the winter with my girlfriend on a Saturday for a walk, and there was a little bit of slush on it. And we were out pretty early in the morning, and I was shocked to see 3 or 4 sets of bicycle tires on the thing already. So our residents in Meridian Township, they are active and they ride their bikes year-round. Not all of them, but many of them ride their bikes year-round. They walk their dogs, they walk their kids. This is something that is fabulous. I'm super excited. We're going to dramatically improve the safety driving along here. You're not going to have to go it alone with the cars. So I hope everyone enjoys it. Thank you very much.
Another person I want to introduce, one of our other elected officials that here. I saw Mark Stevens here. Where's Mark? Mark, can you raise your hand? Mark's one of your elected parks commissioners. So Mark, thank you for being here. Are there any other parks commissioners that I missed? See any? Yeah. Who's here? Where's Amy? Amy? All right, another Parks Commissioner. Welcome, Amy. Thank you for being here. Project could not happen without the involvement of the county, as the supervisor alluded to. And with that, we're very pleased to have our first term county commissioner who represents this district. She's bridging everything together, Emily Stivers. Emily?
I feel short. Thank you all for coming out today, and I'm so excited that we have a short break in the weather to be able to get this done. I'd especially like to thank everyone whose hard work has gone into making this possible. I didn't have very much to do with it, so I want to thank my predecessor, Terry Banas, who was really the champion for getting this started at the county level. I also want to thank Mr. Perry and the staff at the township for their hard work, as well as my colleagues on the county Parks and Recreation Commission. We've worked hard on a lot of projects like this and are super excited to have something done to show for the hard work that we've been doing. And I also want to thank all of the voters of Meridian Township because this would not be possible without the millage that voters overwhelmingly supported in Meridian Township, and that I hope they will continue to support when it comes back on the ballot in the coming year. I did have the honor of helping get this project approved when I served on the Meridian Township Planning Commission, so I know a little bit about all of the hard work that went into making sure that this was environmentally friendly and sustainable, that it is built of mostly renewable resources, and also has been built with great care for our precious wetlands. It's going to increase safety for pedestrians, as well as increasing accessibility of our parks on both sides, and the new downtown Okemos that's coming soon. This is going to be a great way to make the whole area more pedestrian friendly, more bike friendly, and just more friendly of a community for all of us to live in. This ribbon cutting also marks the completion of an intermediate step in establishing the MSU to Lake Lansing Trail system in Ingham County, which is a critical goal of the County Parks and Recreation Commission, as well as the Trails and Parks millage. One of the reasons I ran for County Commissioner was to serve, as Terry Banas did before me, on the Parks and Recreation Commission and get to be a part of exciting projects like this, and have the honor of seeing the great vision of an interconnected regional trail system through to completion. A lot of the projects we've undertaken with millage funds are taking a long time to complete due to engineering challenges and the long process of applying for state and federal matching grant funding. So that's why it's so awesome to me that this project is done and has been done with such quality and despite the obstacles in a relatively short amount of time. This boardwalk is a great example of what we can accomplish when we come together as a community at the township and county levels. And I'm excited for us to continue working together to complete the MSU to Lake Lansing Trail and establish the greatest connected trail system in Michigan. Thank you.
As Commissioner Stivers said, we have a very important person in our group that really helped put this together from A to Z. And so we're bringing up the Z part of this at the end because Terry Banas, our former county commissioner, did so much to make this happen. And we wanted her to really have the final say before we cut the ribbon. So come on up, Terry Banas.
Hello everyone, it's really my pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for including me in this happy occasion. And it's certainly time to celebrate important achievements in the township's life, and this is certainly a major one. For me, as a former representative of this community in the various capacities I've had, I've always been about working to make life better for people, and this boardwalk, as you've heard from so many of the speakers today, is here to do that. I don't know if some of you remember, but there was a young, in my time at the county board and before that on the township board, I remember stories about people near misses on Okemos Road, the safety issues with of traversing an area that had open land as well as sidewalks, and there was an individual, a young person who was killed on Okemos Road, and that was always in the forefront of my mind as I worked on the county board to bring the money to Meridian Township to make this happen. This, as you've heard, this boardwalk represents a better way to engage in the outdoors, improvements in public safety, the ability to travel around our roadways, and simply connectivity, and a better way to connect with one another as a community and also with the rest of Ingham County, because this trail connects us to communities surrounding us and all the way into Lansing and beyond. Before I speak further, I want to acknowledge several of my former colleagues who supported this effort and supported me in the work as chair of the county task force. And they were, in no order of importance, but certainly all immeasurably important to me. Carol Koenig, who was the board chair at the time, and my partner on the county board, she and I both served as liaisons to the county commission, and her insights into the operation of county government and her expertise as an attorney became central to our work because of the various legal fights and others that were involved in this, in bringing this money to bring to bear for this development. I also want to thank acknowledge my former fellow Meridian Township Commissioner, Deb Nolan, who served on the south side of this, who served the township on the south side of the township for many, many years. I also want to thank my former Lansing Commissioner and colleague Brian McGrain, who was very instrumental and important ally in bringing Lansing and suburban interests together so that we could have a fair appropriation of the $20 million of county money that was involved in this trail development and others. I also want to acknowledge Matt Bennett, who chaired the county Parks Board at the time. He represented Delhi Township and was a very close friend and ally of mine on this project. And then among staff members who are here, I noticed Tim Morgan, the county Parks Director. There he is behind the tarp, who definitely came into county government at the time of this very controversial project and was a great support. But also Janusz Schrady, who's here, and he's been mentioned before. In my time as a county, as a township park commissioner for 10 years, and then my 4 years on the county board, he has always been a great source of technical information and assistance, and that was certainly helpful. And then the ever popular Luann Maisner, who is the township parks director, was very helpful in helping me understand how this can all come together. And then lastly, a couple of names that might not be as familiar to you, but Jim Snell, who is now the director of Tri-County Regional Planning Commission. He and I spent many, many nights talking over this project and others. And Melissa Buzzard, who is the county trails coordinator. That was fun. So as I mentioned, I had served the township for 4 years as county commissioner previously, and also as a township parks commissioner. When I came on the county board, the voters had just approved a $21 million 6-year millage to build out and improve a trail system in Ingham County. All that seemed great and wonderful when it was approved, but when I came on in December, Carol and I spoke about what needed to happen next, and I soon discovered that there was no plan on how to implement how to allocate the $21 million, because as you know, there are many communities in Ingham County, and everyone wanted a piece of the pie. Everyone wanted to be able to come home and tell their constituents that they were able to support, to garner some of the funds for trail projects in their community. But it all couldn't happen at once. And there was a very delicate political balance between the political pressure that was coming down to bear by the former Lansing mayor, who wanted to see all of that money go into improvements into the existing trail system in the city, which was important. But my argument had been then and always was that unless that all of us had contributed, whether our communities had voted for the trail millage or not, and Meridian Township was on the winning side of that millage decision, we were all paying for it, and all of our constituents had to see some measure of improvement in the first 6 years. So I won't bore you with the details, but there were certainly long nights of intense debate and discussion. One meeting in particular that went for over 7 hours, and Tim did order pizza, so I mean we were reinforced that night, but it was a long debate. There was also some maneuverings that was involved, but in the end, we were able to make this project happen, and it was, as you know, close to $1 million, and out of the first 20 million, that was pretty significant because this is not the only project that is benefiting from the county millage. There are others. The connection between MSU to Lake Lansing was one that was identified as the #1 project, popular project in Ingham County when we created a survey of county residents, and so we always use that as a justification for why putting money into this development was important, even though this particular chunk of it was a short distance and a very expensive distance, but an important one. So I have nothing else to add right now, but I am very glad that I had a small part to play in bringing the money to Meridian Township to make this happen. I congratulate all of you for representing your community, whether as a staff person or elected person. These are really important things to celebrate because it has to do with our community and our connection to one another and to the Ingham County as a whole. And I couldn't be more proud of what the township staff has been able to accomplish in building it. So thank you all.
Thank you, Commissioner Banis, and I know that I speak for the entire township board and the entire township when I say it was no small part, and we want to thank you for what you did and have done for the project very much, Terry. So thank you. With that, it's time to cut the ribbon after 20 years of planning, and I'd like to invite the township board up. Giannis, come on up. We're going to cut the ribbon. Jay, where's Jay? What's that?
Niall.
Yeah, and I'm getting there. Yep, and Niall. And also Parks commissioners that are, come on up. Come on up, don't be shy. People are getting chilly.
Yep.
Come on up.
I get this ribbon cut.
2, 3. All right. Now we're taking the inaugural, everybody who wants to take the inaugural walk.
Time to walk!
That's right.